Hey there, and welcome to an episode of Tales from the Podcast. And David's here. This is the first time you guys are doing Tales on Friday episode. You haven't done that one. I know. I figured I wouldn't have to explain myself, but I will go ahead and do it. I'm going to be pretty busy tomorrow doing the whole Horror Hound weekend. So to make up for that, I'm doing this episode now because I can't guarantee what time I'll be home or anything like that. So, and luckily, Jeff was awesome enough to be able to join me this week. How you doing, man?
Of course. I'm doing great, man. Like I said, I had nothing on my schedule. I already recorded earlier in the week, so I'm just looking to edit. So,
Oh, hey, I mean,
yeah.
sometimes that works out good.
Yeah.
And we got second names. Shagufta. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I am very sorry.
I don't want to try and butcher
Hello.
it and offend you, so I'm just gonna say hello. Nice to see you.
All right, thank you
Welcome.
for joining in. We greatly appreciate it. Before we get started, I definitely want to tell everybody, go and buy this book, Tales of Shock and Terror. You can still get it. Second one's being worked on. So, I mean, if you want to stay up to date with the shit, I strongly suggest checking it out. You can find that over at talesfromthepodcast.com. If you don't want to buy it, just remember that somebody you know might want a copy. Or you might have a fireplace. Maybe you got a stool that's unlevel, and then maybe a comic book would be the perfect fucking thing to sit there and make it uneven. So I strongly suggest buying multiple copies.
I'm gonna throw out a recommend that if anyone has small children and they're trying to teach them to read, this is definitely something you should buy them as their first reading experience.
Yes. I mean, in fact, most people say that this is definitely a children's book. Most people who listen to this show say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's no different than, see Spot Run.
Right. Or, I mean, it's crazy to think about it, but the second one actually goes a little bit further. So, like, it's like almost like I'm trying to think of like the best way to put it. It's like if you could make Human Centipede, but like the children's book version,
like a YA young adult.
It's like there's no reason to do this, but we're going to.
The second one will be along the lines of Twilight for all of you out there who like that. So definitely make sure you get the second one for sure.
Right.
Pick up the first one too, because it slots right in between Green Eggs and Ham and all the other Dr. Seuss ones.
Right. No, you're not wrong. In fact, this book's actually been compared to the first Harry Potter book. So, I mean, check it out. I mean, there's lots of story building
and less controversy with this.
Yes. I don't care if you're a transsexual. J.K. Rowling does. So buy my book, not her.
Everyone is welcome here.
You're right. And I will say it's kind of funny that we make that clear, especially after the last movie you and I did.
Oh man.
Yeah, definitely. But this week we're not going to talk about a movie. We're going to talk about a Tales from the Crypt episode from season 7. And oh
The
god, I guess
infamous season 7.
yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, at least this one is less of a piece of shit than most of them. I mean, I would almost argue that this might be the best one so far for season 7.
I mean,
Um,
the cast right off the bat for me was like, oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, oh, for sure. And for those who don't know, we're going to be talking about the episode Cold War, based off of the comic book of the same title from Tales from the Crypt, issue number 43. And this originally aired May 31st of 1996. I mean, man, I was to the point of watching these things live now, which is nice. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, I will say we got a little bit more going on with some of the creative people here too. I mean, definitely a lot bigger names. We got Andrew Morahan who directed this episode.
Hmm.
He did Boogeyman, Murder in Mind, George Michael's father figure music video, which is
Huh.
an all-time favorite of Jeff's.
Of course. I mean, I would break out of the song right now, but I don't want everyone to just shut off.
It's okay. I'll take my chances, Jeff. If you're I will lose viewers if you're going to break out in the father figure.
Uh, maybe next time. Stay tuned.
Next time. All right. You know what? I'm going to learn it on guitar, so you'd have to do it. I'll plug right into the soundboard.
Why not? Why not? I've already,
Just
I've already, I've
motherfucker.
stuck,
I
I've
can't
stuck
believe I
my
did
foot into
this.
the shit pile, and I ain't pulling it out clean. So
Right, right. Um, I mean, but this guy's done actually quite a few music videos, and not just George Michael's. We got Meatloaf, Guns N' Roses. I mean,
okay.
he's actually done some pretty good stuff. I mean, he's also done some bad stuff like the Pet Shop Boys. So I mean, it's a very big mix though. But I mean, he's clearly mostly known for his music videos that he's done, which
Okay.
I mean, some of the shit in here is just like it's incredible. Some of the shit he's worked on. Um, he also worked on Highlander: The Final Dimension. So I mean, not just lower end movies either. I mean, guy's definitely been around. But I would honestly say that, dude, like 90% of this guy's career is music videos, and I mean Billy Joel, Human League, Elton John. He did not do low end acts. I mean, I'm looking back in the '80s right now, like Cyndi Lauper, Tina Turner. I mean, what the fuck? It's like this guy's only worked with like some of the most amazing people ever.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I'm seeing like Simple Minds, Simply Red. I mean,
Wham,
Babyface, Queen's Greatest. I mean, what?
Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, I mean, they're not low end acts. I mean, these are some pretty big fucking names.
Yeah, I mean, Lionel Richie, Van Halen,
Well, I mean, I don't know about Lionel Richie. No, I'm
Bon
joking.
Jovi. I'm just saying, these are names that people
No,
know. So it's not like he's working with,
yeah, exactly.
he's not working with the roadie who was given a shot at a DMX concert that I went to on stage before DMX ever showed up.
The
I'm,
roadie got a
I'm,
shot.
I'm telling you, everyone. Okay, Lan and I went to a DMX concert some years back,
I'm just trying to imagine you
and
going to a DMX show.
I'm a huge hip hop fan from way back in the day. So it may not look like it, but yeah,
No, I'm just like I'm trying to imagine you like sitting in your car, lean back real far, shouting some of the DMX parts in his songs when he's does his shouting.
I mean, JB, what you gonna do? We're gonna do the show right now for you.
All right, Jeff. All right, I got a new mission for you, man. Will you remix my intro and throw a DMX vibe into it?
You gotta have the barking in there. But
that really died out over the years, didn't it? It's weird how the whole hip hop and rap game moved away from barking in their songs.
yeah, I never knew where it came from originally, and then it just died.
Yeah, I think
Now
the
most of
Baja Men kind of ruined it for hip hop.
that's probably a
Yeah.
good assumption. Yeah.
When they let the dogs out, man, nobody else was allowed to afterwards.
No, no. It was a sad day. But yeah, this concert, man, everybody except DMX went out there and gave a performance, and then he finally showed up and was like doing push-ups on stage, and
You're joking.
he showed up so late. I was like, if he doesn't show up in the next like 30 minutes, I'm leaving. And he finally showed up, and I was like, okay. But I swear it was like the
He just
roadie,
got out
maybe
of
a
jail.
caterer. I have no idea. But everyone, like someone who handled his dogs, I think got a chance up there on stage. I was like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, am
Wow.
I getting it? Am I going to be called up next to give a shot? I mean,
You should have tried at least. I mean, what's the worst that could have happened?
laughed off the stage.
Right. I mean, that is fair. So
Anyway,
I guess anyway, yeah, I'll go ahead and keep going on with this episode. So we have Ewan McGregor in here as Ford. Um, I mean, Ewan McGregor's been in a couple of things.
he's not super well known. I mean,
No. I mean, I thought he did a pretty good job with Obi Kenobi, but I mean, I don't know if I've even watched Star Wars before. But
yeah, I'm not I have no idea about his
right,
performance in
I'm not stripping anymore to show the rest of the tattoos. No, yeah. I will say though, every
uh,
time I do see him, I always think of Renton before I think of Obi-Wan from Train Spotting.
yeah,
I don't know what it is about his that movie is just extremely captivating, and it's hard to.
especially
Oh
in
man,
this episode, it's very
David,
much
right
like
there, yeah, exactly, man. I don't know if I would call. I mean,
eh, maybe
I don't
parts
know.
of it, but
I
not
yeah, I
complete
wouldn't
comedy.
consider it like a full blown comedy. It's like
I mean, the babies.
watching Train Spotting doesn't give you the same vibes as watching Friday, does it?
I mean, train spotting is one where you can laugh at a couple things, like Robert Carlyle's character completely like wanting to fight everybody.
Right.
Like, okay, but then like the baby scene, the baby crawling on the ceiling, the baby. I mean, all of that is like, oh, hmm.
It gets dark. I
That's
mean,
like that would be like
it might have
saying
its
Requiem.
comedic moments, but I mean, it's about as dark as like Requiem for a Dream.
I was just about to say it's like calling Requiem for a Dream like a romantic comedy. It,
I, I mean,
for who?
it kind of is a romantic comedy.
I mean,
It's just the most fucked up parts of one,
yeah.
and
I
the
mean,
person laughing isn't the person involved.
no, the person laughing is Keith David because he's the one getting everything in the end, getting what he wants to see in the end.
Yes, exactly. But I always forget about it too. But Ewan McGregor was also in one of my favorite. I consider it a cowboy like comedy. The A Million Ways to Die in the West. Very fun movie.
I have not finished that. I started
Really,
it.
I
Yeah,
thought it
I
was
started
hilarious.
it and I was enjoying it. And Leanne walked in and was like, "What the hell is this? This looks stupid." And I'm like, "I'll finish it later."
well,
She's not a big fan of Seth MacFarlane stuff, so
I mean, to each their own.
which I understand. He's not for everyone,
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
but
That's for sure.
I appreciate his humor. I mean,
Yeah, but either way, Ewan McGregor's definitely done quite a few things. And then don't get me wrong, neither. I
yeah,
mean, he's done movies that are, I mean, nothing probably bigger than Star Wars. Let's just be honest about it. But he's
yeah.
been in other pretty popular movies like Moulin Rouge, Black Hawk Down, Big Fish, Robots. I mean, as far as like kids movies, I mean, that was a pretty fucking big one back in the day too. So
And I always forget he was in Black Hawk Down. I've seen that movie twice, and I always forget he
yeah,
was in it.
I always forget that he was in Angels and Demons.
Oh, I have not seen that. I've
Yeah,
not seen any of those.
yeah. They're okay. I mean, I think as far as like a mystery where you got like, a big thing going on, I think National Treasure probably did it better.
Oh,
But
I enjoyed National Treasure. I only saw that for the first time a couple years ago.
really, I mean,
So,
as far as a Nick Cage movie goes, it's probably his best work.
excuse me, Con Air, Vampire's Kiss, Pig,
Con Air, really? No,
put the bunny in the box. Come on.
no. Con Air is like one of the
Con Air
worst movies
is a
ever.
great Nick Cage movie, but it is a great ensemble movie.
Con Air is just a bad movie.
If by bad you mean thoroughly entertaining, then yes.
No, that's not. Like, have you ever sat down and like read the plot of Con Air and like? So it's what was this? It's here we go.
Oh,
IMBD.
I'm not saying
A
the
newly
plot is good.
paroled ex-con and former U.S. Ranger Cameron Poe finds himself trapped in a prisoner transport plane when the passengers seize control.
Mhm.
None of that would ever happen.
Oh no,
Right from the get go, it's all fucking bullshit.
it's completely impossible. But
Almost as
this,
impossible as Nick Cage's hair in that movie. I mean, Con Air is like maybe a baby step above his performance in fucking Ghost Rider.
oh, no. Con Air is leaps and bounds better than Ghost Rider.
uh,
Both are stupid popcorn movies, but at least with Con Air you have John Malkovich, you've got Danny Trejo, you've got Dave Chappelle.
John Cusack's in
What
it.
do
I
you
mean,
have in Ghost Rider?
well, first off, I wasn't saying
Ava
Ghost Rider
Mendes.
was a good movie. I was saying
Oh
the
no,
old
Ghost
dude's
Rider
the
is
shit.
shit. Okay, the first Ghost Rider is terrible. The second Ghost Rider is terrible, but way more fun.
I like. Don't get me wrong. It has a good cast, but the
I
movie's just not good. I mean,
I
there's
just
tons of
unabashedly
movies that
have a
have, like, look at the Expendables movies. I mean, you got every action
oh
star in the
yeah,
fucking world.
those are
They're all
garbage,
fucking
but
shit though.
they're all
Hot
garbage. But
garbage.
I
Yeah.
enjoy them on a stupid level because I can just shut my brain off and watch stupid action.
Right. Davis, watched the entire first season of the National Treasure TV series spinoff. It's very good. I checked it out too. It's different than I expected it to be, and I will say that I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Unlike Willow, they decided to not have to go with an extremely woke way to have a decent story and not have to play that same routine over and over again that they've been doing for the last few years, which I appreciated. And don't get me
I
wrong, I understand everyone needs their representation, but there comes a certain point in time where it's just like we just want a movie. It doesn't have to be about that to begin with. I mean, it didn't add
yeah
nothing to the story, kind of like in Willow, which really pissed me off because I really loved Willow.
yeah. See, I haven't seen the Willow movie, and so I haven't checked out the series yet.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. As somebody who's, I mean, I'd like to think that you and I have pretty similar tastes in a lot of the stuff that we like, except for Con
Yeah,
Air. Um, Willow is an amazing movie.
that
The
is what
show
I've
you're not
heard.
going to be as happy with, I don't think.
Fair enough.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it depends. I mean, I guess waiting 30 something years to watch it might be a little bit different for you, but waiting 30 years to watch it compared to somebody who's been waiting 30 years for a series.
mhm.
So it's like, who knows?
Any kind
I
of
wasn't as
sequel
happy
or
with it.
follow up, yeah. I the thing is, it was on TV. I had seen bits of it growing up, but I just never caught it from the beginning, and just was like, I'll probably never see it. I'll probably never rent it. So, and
Right,
now it's right there for me to watch finally without any issue. But
right. Well, anyways, though, I'm going to keep going on with this since we've only talked about
Ewan McGregor
one.
so far.
We've talked more about fucking Nicolas Cage than we've talked about this episode. So we also got Colin Salmon in this episode as well. Um, I mean, he's one of those people where you see his face and you're like, I've seen him in a million fucking things right away. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
I don't know about you, but as soon as I saw him, I was thinking of like he was in Resident Evil.
Hmm.
What was it Alien vs Predator? I know he's been in a ton of other shit too. I know he's done a lot of voice acting as well.
It's
Um,
also on the Arrow TV series.
is he?
Hmm.
Yeah. See, I've never watched the Arrow TV series, so I never would have guessed that one. But I mean, yeah, because he did all the Resident Evil movies. He was the narrator for Dragon Soccer. I'm kind of
Huh.
confused on what Dragon Soccer is. Oh yeah, you know what? He was in the Merlin TV series. I forgot about that.
The Merlin TV series with Sam Neill.
No, the other one,
That's.
the one with Sam Neill is the greatest though.
I
I
was like, wait, that's an older one. How far back can we go with this?
I want people to remember that series. So if you are a fan of Sam Neill, and I'm assuming if you're a human, you are, go and watch that. It's free on Tubi. It is one of the. I guess it's one of those series when I've caught myself going back to that at least once every couple of years and watching it.
I remember it airing. I just never caught it.
You never watched it?
No, I saw bits and pieces here and there, but
Oh my god,
at that
dude!
time, I wasn't as into fantasy as I discovered I am now. So I like it a lot more now than I did then. I wasn't really.
Do you know who's all in that?
I know Sam Neill for sure because he was all over the
Okay,
place.
Helena Bonham Carter, John Gilgard, Rupert Har, James Earl Jones, Martin Short. I mean, you're talking about a full blown awesome fucking cast in there.
I had no idea Martin Short was in it. Now I have to see it.
Dude, yeah, Martin Short is fucking awesome in it. I mean, it's a very fucking weird role, but I mean, he makes it. I mean, he's fucking Martin Short. I mean,
It's Martin Short. He can take any weird role and you'd be like, okay, yeah, it works.
yeah, technically.
I mean,
Um. Anyway, though, we also got Jane Horrocks in this episode as well. Um. I mean, she's probably like at least for me a little bit less known from a lot of the stuff. I know she's done some voice acting that I knew, like Corpse Bride. But I mean, as far as like her just regular acting, it's just there wasn't a lot that I personally knew of. Um, but I mean, um, well, I take that back because she was in Inside Number Nine, which I know about that show. Let's see, yes, but I mean, tons of kids shows like Secret of the Wings, Absolutely Fabulous, Pixie Hollow Games, Arthur Christmas, Phineas and Ferb. I mean, she's done a ton of like kid shit.
I mean, you're forgetting one of the most prolific kid shows. She was Tubby Phone in 18 episodes of the Teletubbies. I mean, the fucking clue, man. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I'm looking at her list and I'm like, I don't know what half this shit is.
No, I mean, she has, for somebody who has like 130 credits, it's weird to go through and just be like, I don't know what most of this is. Like, are these even things?
Yeah, like
Like,
I've heard of Phineas and Ferb. I've seen a few episodes of
right. The
Absolutely
cartoon
Fabulous.
stuff I get, yeah. But I mean, the live action shit, no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, just no fucking clue. Like, I mean, obviously has to be a UK actor for sure.
Oh,
And
for
yeah,
certain. I
yeah,
mean,
Colin Samuel. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, which I mean, gotta love that. Let's see. I mean, as far as the cast for this, I mean, that basically does it for the most part. Um, to get into this episode a little bit, it's a different episode than what we're used to. You're not getting
mhm.
really your love triangle. I mean, this is like more of like a gangster type story at first in a way, almost. Like you get those vibes at least.
Yeah, or
And
like a almost like a newer age Bonnie and Clyde in a way. Like,
yeah. So we end up getting this group of three who end up, and God, there's one part of this episode that just drives me nuts, but um they go do a robbery. Bank's not there no more. So they end up robbing a different place that's already being robbed at the time. He gets shot, and a woman ends up killing people. They end up losing their driver. Whatever. They go back to their apartment. They're fighting. Woman and the man, they split up. Woman goes off, meets a different man. 6-minute dance sequence. Don't know why.
Filling
Doesn't add
time.
nothing to the story. I mean, a huge chunk of just I don't know why.
They could have cut that down a lot and added more to the scenes that come after that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just such an odd way to do it. And he goes, "Or I'm Mickey and Mallory from the '90s." So yes, yeah, I kind of has that kind of vibe too.
Yeah.
Definitely. But after this, there's the woman goes back and they're trying to, obviously those two are trying to make each other jealous, and she brings out her new guy, and this is when we get the big reveal that these people are zombies,
Hmm.
and thinking that it's all over, goes to shoot them in. You find out he has a vampire, and I mean, it's kind of just a weird little story. I mean, a bullshit kind
Yeah.
of ending. I mean, the I don't think it's horrible. I wouldn't say it's the greatest. Um, I would say, as far as season 7 goes, that this is probably one of the closest as far as the comic book goes. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, it's almost the same for a good chunk of it, except for where it starts, because it starts off, it's like pre where they are. So there's a man, and he's in love with the woman. Basically, I do anything for you. They go, he gets asked permission to marry her. They do everything. He ends up saying that he would die for her, things like that. So after they get married, the wife's dad ends up giving him strychnine, fucking poisons him, and
Wow.
then goes, I thought you said you would die for her, and come to find out,
Mm,
like in the episode, she can't be with him if he's alive. He has to die because they're zombies, and that's how we get that whole part of it. And
mhm.
then
Okay.
then it wasn't so much of the robbery aspect, but as it comes from there, it moves out to him telling the story to this other guy, who ends up shooting him like 4 times in the heart, and he doesn't die, and that's when he believes his zombie story. And that's basically the comic book, which I'm not mad about. I mean, adding the vampire aspect of it, I thought was cool for an episode, especially considering how. See, I don't know. See, that's another one of the things too. It's like, is this episode even good, or is it just that much better than everything else that we've had to watch in season 7?
See,
You
not
know what I
having a
mean?
lot of experience with season 7, but just knowing what I've seen you do on previous episodes, I'm gonna say it's pretty safe to say that it's probably because it's in season 7 that it seems so much better.
Right,
Because if you
right.
were to compare this and just quality wise, story and everything to the episode I was on from season 6 with John Lithgow, there the quality is nowhere near the Lithgow episode.
No, no, not at all. I mean, like, it's like majority of season 7 could be rated at like a 2 or a 3, but this one's a 6. But it makes it seem like a 10 because
Right.
everything around it, it's kind of like finding a fucking diamond in a turd.
Yeah.
So,
At least the acting was pretty solid. I
well,
mean,
yeah,
it
well, I
wasn't
mean,
bad.
we got some good actors. There's no
Yeah.
arguing that. I mean, at this time, Ewan McGregor's already done Train Spotting, so
Hmm.
I mean,
He's
the
established at this time as someone who can act.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as far as these episodes go, I mean, he's definitely one of the better actors that we've had in the season too.
Definitely.
So,
I just found it odd that they chose Ewan McGregor, a Scottish gentleman, to play an American in the UK.
well, considering there is a UK casting director, this was probably all cast in the UK. And I'm just going to throw it out there that Ewan McGregor was probably living in that area. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm
I
certain.
just I don't think Scottish people have their own Hollywood type thing. I don't think they. I'm saying that when I really don't know. I've never looked into it.
Hmm.
I mean, for all I know, they might have their version of Bollywood where it's just Scottish people doing outrageous stuff and ripping off. I don't know. I got a weird like feeling though that they probably don't have anything. They
Yeah, I
probably got
don't.
a couple of local news stations and it probably stops there. Like what all their local news and then on their public access channel is probably bagpipes 24/7.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot like you don't have like Scottsploitation like you have like Ozploitation down in Australia. I just found it odd that they didn't have him doing just a British accent or his native Scottish accent. They're like, no, you got to be American for this. We need
Well,
you to
he
be
did have
American.
like that. He I see what they were going for because they were going for like that modern kind of gangster thing, and we didn't really have that anymore. So they had to go with what was considered violent for the mid '90s, which is your punk kind of aesthetic. And I mean,
Yeah,
you could see he almost had like that, like early Ramones look to him.
yeah, but the look still kind of reminded me of somebody who you would have seen maybe walking around London at that time doing no good.
See, I don't know because
Not
I wasn't
not
around
a
London
whole
at that
lot.
time.
Well, from what I've seen in movies in the 90s that
Why?
were based around there, he's very much looks like that, but has an American accent. It's that was the one thing where I was like, that's a little
Maybe
off, but
Ewan
okay.
McGregor can't
Maybe it
do a
was his
British
choice.
accent, so he's like, "Oh, it's either Scottish or American."
No, I'm pretty sure he's pretty convincing with a British accent. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Maybe he was just saving that voice. He was sitting there doing this episode. He's like, "No, I can't do it, guys. In another year, I got to use this voice for Obi-Wan." Like,
Ewan McGregor isn't even his name. His name's like Jimmy Bone or something. I don't know. Some stupid American name. He's like, I'm actually from the Midwest.
he just made it up.
It's like I'm from Chicago.
His whole life's a lie.
It's like I've never even seen what Scotland looks like. I'm just really good at accents.
I
The
mean,
fuck?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm looking it up, right? Let's see. He is a Scottish actor. I get that he is Scottish, and BAFTA, Britannia He's won that. Yeah, I mean, does a lot of charity. I mean, man, we're talking a lot of shit about somebody who does a lot of good for people.
Oh, I'm not trying to talk trash about Ewan McGregor. I totally respect the guy's work. I mean,
Oh yeah, me too. Let's see,
I
what's
think
his real name?
I think is it Colin Salmon also.
His real name's definitely Ewan Gordon McGregor.
See, which is refreshing as opposed to somebody who gets a stage name that is nothing near like.
Right.
Oh,
Ooh,
I'm
both of
sorry.
his
What?
parents were teachers in Scotland. Hmm,
Ah, okay.
interesting. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Either way,
Colin Salmon's also British, which I found funny too, because I'm like, he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "What the like? You have two non-Americans playing Americans." I'm like, "But you're not set in the U.S. at all."
well,
And I
I mean, the
mean,
majority of the audience for this show, I mean, they still have issues trying to watch Tales from the Crypt over there. They didn't get
wow,
DVD releases. It's not streaming. YouTube's not the same country to country. And for
yeah,
some reason,
nothing is.
I feel like most people in the UK have never heard of a VPN because anytime I bring it up, they're like, "What's that?"
That's funny because one of the wrestling podcasts I listen to, they are always promoting. They're always sponsored by a VPN and
Yeah.
trying to get people to sign up.
Are
So
they
they're like, "Look,
British?
yeah,
Huh.
they're in and around the London area."
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've mentioned it to quite a few people. It's like, a couple of them just, they've heard about it and they've tried using it. It's either they don't know how to, or, I mean, I don't know. To me, it came naturally, but I mean, to each their own. I mean, some things can be
Yeah,
difficult for people who aren't, doing this kind of stuff all the time.
I don't have one yet, but I'm seriously considering it.
I have one. I will say, depending on what you are using it for, look into those kinds of specs because a lot of people just think, oh, a VPN's a VPN. No, no, VPN's not just a VPN.
Hmm.
Look and see what they can do first because they are different and they do cost different amounts and it's not the same. Your one that comes for free, with some antivirus software isn't going to do what you're probably thinking.
Nope. You got
So,
to really look and see, because if you're wanting to look at UK Netflix or whatever, you got to look. There are tiers, just like with any service. There are tiers to this shit.
you're right. And not just that, but I mean, there's some that you can actually access to work through the modem compared to just the device. So, I
Hmm.
mean, there's certain things to do because I mean, a lot of people watch stuff just on TV. They're not casting it from their computer or whatever. So,
Yeah, like I'm a baseball fan, so with the upcoming season, I can't watch my local team because we're blacked out on every service. Because they're like, oh well, you can just catch it here or there. I'm like, no, I can't, because Bally Sports and Dish Network don't have a fucking agreement. So if I wanted to watch it, I'd have to get a VPN and make sure it could allow me to be outside of the market so I could watch. And I'm like, do I really want to spend the money on a VPN just for that? Am I going to use it for more than just that?
it just depends your situation. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't have it on ESPN.
No, only national games are broadcast on ESPN.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. It's Fox and ESPN will broadcast on their main channels nationally televised games, which are typically not my team, which you can see Angels right here. I have been since I was
I
a
thought it
kid.
was. I thought it was the A's.
Fuck no. Heck no. Because let hate fuck the A's. But
I thought that was the new Avengers hat. My bad.
also works for that. I mean, we got the red. But anyway, yeah, I found it funny that they were using two, a Scottish and a British actor for Americans, but it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible by any means. If you had to rate this episode between a 1 and a 10, though, where would you throw it?
I'd probably give it a solid 5.5.
All right. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's not. There's been way worse. So.
Yeah, it's not the best thing I've seen, but it wasn't like I was sitting there struggling to get through 27 minutes of Tales from the Crypt. It
No,
actually kind of flew by. It went by pretty quick.
except for that dance montage for no fucking
Yeah,
reason.
that I was like, when is this over?
Right. Um, I'll say with me on this one. I mean, I'm almost in perfect agreement with the way IMDb has this one. I'd say that this is in between a 5 and a 6. Like, the higher end of that, probably I'll give it a 6. I mean, as far
Okay.
as this season goes, this might be one of the best episodes of the season. There's great actors in this, which I mean, first off,
Yeah,
we don't get great actors anymore. We haven't got great actors in a little while. So just the simple fact that we're actually getting a cast that's worth a fuck, we're getting writing that's worth the fuck, we're getting a storyline that's actually staying fairly consistent to the actual source material, which
right.
is something. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can change stuff, and it does make it better for being on screen. I understand that aspect, but this is one of those things where there's just no need to. There's short stories
Right.
that are pretty fucking simple 99% of the time. Um, and I'm not opposed to it. I think it was a good job with this one. You know, the whole concept of foreign people playing Americans, I never even thought about until you were talking about it.
Which I don't mind it. I'm not saying that it's a big thing. I'm just thinking, if you move the production to the UK, you could just have them speak in their normal accents and it's not going to change a whole lot. And I don't
Right.
think the audience for Tales from the Crypt is really going to mind that much. If they're watching an episode where you see, obviously, the opening shots are showing London, they're
Right.
driving on the streets of London, obviously, by the license plate, the way the car's set up. So I think I just saw someone pop in. That's why I'm laughing. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I
Just a little face pops in and then moves away. But so I don't think the audience at the time would have really minded. But then again, maybe they were just like, we want mass appeal, so speak in an American accent, and she'll be the only one who's really British. I mean, it's fine. I don't have an issue with it. I mean, I loved Christian Bale as Batman. He is Welsh. He is not American. I don't care.
Right.
You know, so
You're
it's
not
not a
wrong.
it's not a hang up. I'm just like, if you're in the UK, you could have just had him speak, even with just your very run of the mill British accents, and it still would have been fine.
Right. No, you're not wrong.
I mean, they pull it off. You would never know either one of them
No,
isn't.
no, not at all. I will say there is one thing about this episode too that I don't know why it slipped my mind, but Cutter when he dies in the beginning,
Mhm.
you know who that is, don't you?
That was I saw his name, but I'm not sure I know
John
what else
Salthouse.
he's. Yeah, John Salthouse, but I'm not sure
All right,
what else I
I
know him from.
I don't know him from a lot. I will admit that, but when I saw him, I was excited because there's two things that instantly come to my mind right away. First off, he's Bobby in American Werewolf in London.
I just saw that. I have my phone here, as you can see by my phone.
I
I got a new phone case, and it's horror, by the way. So,
I love it. I love it. I
but yeah,
actually
I saw
I have
that.
a mask with that same pattern on it.
Nice.
Yeah, but he's also in The Spy Who Loved Me. So I mean,
See, I haven't seen any James Bond, so
no, huh?
it's
Interesting.
the hole in my movie watching. Yes, to be sure.
Interesting. I mean, for people who watch a lot of movies, I mean,
It's just something that slipped by me. I was never really interested in it as a kid, and later on, I was like, I don't know how to get a hold of them. I've seen some of
uh,
the box sets, and I was like,
ooh, yeah. I
like
mean,
I don't know if
when
I
you
could
see the
commit.
box sets, you're like, yeah, this is all right, we're gonna do James Bond month on the podcast, and
It's like
Leanna
I
be
mean,
like, well, I'm not doing 3 episodes a day.
my collector's brain kicks in and is like, you should get it. Like I own the Planet of the Apes box set. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
that's
any of
nothing
those
in
movies.
comparison, though.
Yeah, but I've never seen any of those movies, and I still haven't to this day put the movies in to watch it. The collector's brain kicked in. So when
Well,
I
now,
see those,
when you get the collector's edition of that, which movies are included? You getting
let
all of
me,
the originals? The
yeah,
original ones are really good.
yeah, I was trying to see if it was on my shelf here, but
The original ones are really good. The one with Marky Mark, yeah, whatever. And then that other series is good too.
yeah, no, it's not. It's not the Marky Mark one at all.
No, I like the
It's the
original.
original Roddy McDowell,
Okay, so it's just the
Doctor
original
Zayas.
set, though.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
it doesn't have the new one. Well, because the new one, I mean, you got fucking Andy Serkis. I mean, he's fucking
The new
great.
ones, I've seen a couple of. I haven't seen them all yet, and I'm like,
Oh
these are
god,
amazing. And the fact that they're like, no, these basically tie into that original run of movies. If you really
right?
watch them, I'm like, that's genius. But yeah,
Yeah,
as far as James Bond, I've looked at the box set a few times of all of the original stuff, like the Roger Moore, the Connery, and I'm like, I would love to have it. Am I ever going to watch them? That's a huge commitment to a lot of movies if I'm
a
not going to
lot of
watch them.
movies.
So eventually I'm going to get through them. I am more intrigued to watch them now as an older movie watcher than I was, say, in my 20s or my teens, just because I was like,
Right.
James Bond, whatever. And now I'm like, it's kind of cinematic history in a way.
I mean, I it's one of those things. First off, where you're gonna, especially if you start watching them all, there's gonna be an era of James Bond that clicks with you, and I'm curious on what you're gonna say there. I'm not gonna tell you what my favorite is until you start watching, but you're gonna have a certain James Bond where you're like, that is my James Bond. That's the guy you're picturing the whole time, and the rest of them are gonna suck in comparison. Yeah,
That's
I will
that's
say you
what
have a much better time if you go and get like the Godzilla one and just watch all those. Those are a lot more fun. And who doesn't like to watch a good kaiju fucking monster battle?
And see, the only Godzilla film I've seen is the more recent one with Bryan Cranston. I haven't seen any of the
Oh
old
god,
ones, but
I
I
thought that was
have.
gonna go downhill really quick. Like the only one I saw was the one from the early or the late '90s.
No, that's I don't like to admit to watching that one because it's really not a Godzilla film.
I don't
That
know.
'98 film, it's just
I
a
bet if you
it's
asked Puff Daddy, he would disagree.
Puff Daddy kiss my ass. At the
Yeah.
time, I was like, "Wow, is this what Godzilla is?" And then I started seeing, like, not watching it, but going back, and I'm like, "Oh, this is just a big
Not
monster movie. This isn't
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
No.
It's like this is nothing like Godzilla. At least that what was it 2014? I want to say now
I think
2015
so.
maybe. At least that one. I mean, Godzilla was a little chonky as they say, but at least that was Godzilla.
Right. No, I thought they did a good job with it personally. I mean, the newer ones.
Yeah.
I'm actually a really, really big fan of the old ones too.
And you would think I would have watched them because I grew up watching, like the Voltron cartoon, which is essentially space kaiju. I watched Power Rangers, even though I was probably way too old to be watching it. I liked giant robots fighting giant monsters. So Godzilla is right
Yeah,
in there.
I
It's
don't
giant
know.
monsters. So, I mean, why I never watched it, I don't know.
I watched a lot more foreign cinema, like a lot more of like your your fucking Shaw Brothers, your fucking old kung fu shit, and then it turned into like the Godzilla, the kaiju monsters, and then I mean I've watched all that kind of stuff, and I mean I've had more of the fascination with kaiju monsters in general than I have anything else. I mean, like yeah, like every kid, I watched Power Rangers, but I mean never past like that first fucking series of the
Yeah, it
dinos.
was the first one, and that was it. That was the same
Yeah,
with me because after
I
that, I
I
was
always
like, okay.
thought the Beetleborgs was a better concept. I wish it would have went further than it did. In fact, I think I need to start a campaign about bringing Beetleborgs back.
Was it Beetleborgs the one that had the like weird guy in the mansion or something with the blue face or some
Yes,
shit?
it
Yeah. I
was more
vaguely remember
cartoon
that.
book or comic book like.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but I remember Power Rangers, and then there was that shitty other show they had called VR Troopers.
Mm, fuck yeah, I remember VR. Yeah,
Yeah, we are VR. Oh my
that
god!
was
I'm
really
like,
bad too.
this is not what virtual reality is, but okay. Like
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
it was along the lines of Lawnmower Man, but for kids. Just there wasn't
Lawnmower Man wasn't really that bad either.
if you watch the director's cut with the monkey going crazy at the very beginning, it's an awesome movie. If you lose that bit, it's just Jeff Fahey going from simple to genius and wanted to take over the world at Pierce Brosnan's expense.
Well, I mean, don't we all? By the way, for those who don't remember, they- these are your Beetleborgs.
Oh, it was
Those were cooler costumes.
and it was another Saban thing. That makes a lot of sense. That
Well,
makes a lot of sense because it was another one imported from Japan, and they did the wraparound
yeah.
story with American actors.
It's funny you bring up Saban because I just had an instance with that. Me and my wife were sitting down the other day and we're like, she's like, I want to watch a movie, and she's not so much into the horror as me, which I know
Mhm.
probably shocking to some people out there. And but one of the things that we both agree on when it comes to borderline horror are shark movies.
Okay.
So she puts on Maneater. 2 seconds in, I'm like, "You see that?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "That says Saban Films." She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "This is gonna fucking suck." And she's like, "Oh, we'll give it a chance." I'm trying to think of who the fuck was in it too. I'll be able to tell you right away because
Oh man, when you see Saban, it's like just a little bit above Asylum, so you don't
yeah,
sigh and eye roll nearly as hard.
you're just not used to seeing it. Here it is. All right, so it starts off and you see Trace Adkins, and my wife's like, "Fuck this," and turns it like it's like Saban Films plus Trace Adkins. It's like, no, you know what? We're just not gonna watch TV today.
Oh my god,
Right. It's moments like that though when you realize that you married the right person.
you probably would have been better off looking up that Italian Jaws ripoff, Cruel Jaws.
Right. I tried to get my wife, I told her, I'm like, instead of this, we could watch Six Headed Shark Attack. She goes, what? I'm like, but you might have to watch all the other sequels because you got to see him go from two heads to six heads. But
Mhm. There's Land Shark.
yes, I mean they basically have every kind of shark movie. Exorcist shark, there's a vampire shark.
There
The
are there
Sand Shark.
there are so many, and I think I watched
Most of
two
them
or
are
three of
horrible.
the Sharknado films, and
Seen them all. Seen the Sharktopus. There's
oh,
the
what was the other one? Sharktopus versus something.
the alligator monster thing. I forget its name, but
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen
there
that
was a
too.
bunch of those at a time. There was Boa versus Python and
Right,
all that
right.
kind of
Did
stuff.
you ever see Piranha versus Anacondas?
No, no, I tapped out. I watched Boa versus Python, and I went, I can't do any more of these. If they're, I'm like,
I've watched them
they.
all, dude. If anybody's gonna sit there and put out some cheesy ass movie like that, I'm gonna give it a chance. I mean, I've seen Llama fucking Geddon, or Llama Geddon.
Oh God, I've
Yeah,
seen that come up, and I'm like, I can't,
I did.
I
I
can't
did.
do it.
I made my whole family sit down and watch Velocipaster with me when I came out.
Okay, I love Velocipaster. That
Like,
movie, that movie knows exactly what it wants to be, and anyone who's like, I don't know, I love it. I
I,
love it.
I did
I'm
too.
not gonna, you know what? I'm not gonna shit on anyone who didn't like it. I just think like it's for a certain group of people. I fit that group.
If you get it, you get it. If you don't
Like
get it, you probably are not that cool.
the scene where the parents die, it's just there's that scene where there's nothing. It's like they just. I'm
Dude,
like, okay,
there's so many
okay,
different movies in my whole life where it's like that. Like for instance, Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
yes.
I watch that movie and I can laugh every time. And to me, it's comedic genius at a very high peak level.
My name is Betty.
My favorite part, like and the worst part is too, is like if you don't watch that movie with subtitles, you are fucking yourself to begin with.
Yeah.
But when he's like just reading scrolls, birdie, birdie, just like
Oh, magician, your sword is red.
I love it. It's like
I,
I don't know.
oh,
You know what? I think you and I are gonna have to do that movie now.
yeah.
I will tell you, I don't think I've ever seen anybody who's been as enough of a fan to
Oh my
quote the
god.
movie in my entire life. I
Taco
I
Bell. Taco Bell.
I got that one on VHS, like 3 copies of that bitch. I
I
love
bought
that
it.
movie so
I
much.
bought it digitally on Voodoo. I saw it was for rent, and I went, no, 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 no. I have
Well,
to
how
buy
much was it to rent?
it. It was like $2.99 to rent, and I think it was like $9.99 to own. I'm like, I'm owning it. Why?
I'm
At
surprised it was
least
$9.99 to own.
digital ownership until something
Right.
happens, and they're like, wait a minute, you don't really own it.
The first time I bought that movie was a VHS from Blockbuster, and it was $7.99, and I still got the sticker on the fucking box.
Nice, nice.
But $7.99 back then is worth $25 now.
Like honestly, I want a Shout Factory special collector's edition remaster with interviews of the cast, breakdown of how they went and
Right.
did it.
And the reasoning why we haven't got the fucking sequel.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Now
I want to know why.
have you ever seen Steve Odenkirk's other work?
I have not seen any of the Thumb Wars stuff or anything like that. I know
have
of
the
it.
double
I've just
feature
never.
of Thumb Wars and Thumbtanic.
Nice, nice. Oh, I forgot about Thumbtanic. I saw him and I was like, what? And I saw clips and I'm like, okay, I gotta find these. And I just
Oh.
it was at a time where I was just trying to consume so many movies at once.
Dude, I think I was like, man, I had to have been like 12 years old when I bought those movies. And like no 12-year-olds looking for Thumb Wars and the Thumbtanic.
No, they're like, what are you buying this for? This isn't. You're like, because it's funny.
This would be,
Like,
yeah.
made by
I
the
mean,
guy who made Kung Pao. Shut up.
right? Don't you know anything about this? It's highbrow fucking media.
Yeah. And I think the
Jeez.
closest modern thing we've got that's come close to Kung Pao might be Black Dynamite.
I mean,
Along the same vein of like lampooning that kind of
right. I don't
what
think
movie
we'll
is supposed
ever
to be.
get anything where it's like that good though.
No,
I
no.
mean, not to mention the visual effects, all the like, and
Yeah.
for those who don't know, that whole movie is basically Steve Odenkirk
Mm-hmm.
and
He
voicing
voiced pretty
over
much
other movies
every.
and superimposing himself in other movies, and you can't tell really for the most part.
Yeah. there's some other actors here and there that they inserted to get their story
Handful, but
across,
not a
but
lot.
not a lot.
No,
It's reminiscent of, I don't know if you've ever seen the Steve Martin movie Dead Men. I think it's Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
I don't know
It's
if I have.
very He plays like an old detective and he's inserted into some of these older movies. I believe it's Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I've seen it once. I have not been able to find it anywhere
I might have to try to find that one. You have to
other
message me that
than
one later.
Netflix. Way back in the day when I had the disc version of the service. That was the only way I found it. A buddy of mine said, "Dude, you gotta check this out." And I watched it. I was like, "This is fantastic." Plus, it's Steve Martin, who it's Steve Martin.
Right. Huh. Might have to check that out. Will watching that one make me go, ooh wee ooh wee ooh wee?
Wee, 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 wee. Chosen one.
Oh man, you have no idea how much more fun I'm gonna have right now, dude.
We purposely
Dude,
trained him bad.
on eBay right now, the chosen edition of the DVD is going for almost $50.
Wow.
Whew. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just
God
gonna
damn
say, I've got some yellow topping for your popcorn, and it's non-dairy.
I'm a man. I go pee pee standing up. Oh God.
And another paralyzer.
I love the narrator of that too. And he partied with the desert animals. It's like,
Beware, beware of the song.
he likes big butts, but he just beats you up to it.
The whole scene where he's just massaging the guy's chest, he's like, "Oh yeah, oh." Like, what the?
Apparently, all yellow rubber gloves. Like the whole thing is so fucked. There's so many things in that movie that just
My nipples look like milk duds.
All right, it's settled. So thanks
Chosen
everyone.
March 12th.
Thanks everyone for watching. I haven't talked to Jeff yet about this, but if everything goes the way I'm planning it, next week we're going to be talking about Kung Pao Into the Fist, and I think Jeff's going to be joining me again.
I will have my outfit ready.
So that was for those who don't know, that was a completely impromptu, and I did not ask Jeff beforehand if he was going to do this, but I figured there was enough Kung Pao references stated throughout this episode that I'd be fucking up if I didn't take advantage of it. God damn it! Well, there you go. You earned yourself another week. But how
Fine by
often?
me.
How often you get to talk about Kung Pao?
Dude, hardly ever.
I think this is going to be the first non-horror movie.
Hey, you know what? I do a mostly horror movie podcast, and we have done so many non-horror films, but it works. Sometimes you just have to like go outside the box,
Right.
and if somebody doesn't like it, they don't have to listen. You're doing it for yourself.
No, no, I
And
agree.
hey, Kung Pao is great no matter what.
Right. I will say the ratings on it don't make sense. So Metacritic gives it a 14 out of 100. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 13%. But IMDb has that bitch all the way at a 6.2.
So the people on IMDb who usually don't know anything know something, and everyone else just doesn't get it. I think they just don't get
Yeah, I
it.
think there's a lot of people that don't get it.
Like, what's the humor? It's like, really? The first time I watched it, I was like, this is brilliant.
Right.
This is brilliant. I mean, you think about it, it's the same kind of stuff they were doing in Forrest Gump, inserting him into archival footage. It's just
Right.
he created a story and used footage from those Shaw Brothers films and stuff to
Right.
bring out the narrative. A lot from that, and just created his own script and did their own lines over everything. I mean, and superimposed himself in. So it's no different. And I'll say I like Kung Pao Under the Fist way more than I like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a no-brainer for me, at least.
It's far more entertaining.
I'm trying to figure out if it's actually streaming anywhere so I can tell people where to watch it right now. if it is streaming. I know you can rent and buy it like basically
Mhm.
anywhere,
You see, I
but
have.
I'm not sure if it's actually streaming anywhere for if it's available for people to check out. I'm seeing it over here on Prime Video, but that doesn't mean shit. Sometimes Prime Video is just a little yeah, because you holy fuck, dude! If you rented it from Prime Video in HD, it's $4.80 for a rental. It's almost $11 to buy Kung Pao.
Wow, I'm seeing it on Just Stream. You can rent it on Apple TV, Amazon, YouTube, Vudu, and Redbox
Yeah,
for $3.99.
you can rent it everywhere for like
Yeah,
right around $4, and buying it's about $10 everywhere.
yeah, $9.99.
But it doesn't look like it's part of any service.
No, which sucks because it should be. It
Yeah, I
used to
mean,
be on. It was on Netflix at one point, and then I thought I found it, but it was Kung Fu Hustle, which I haven't seen yet. So
that's not a bad one. I mean, luckily for me, I have the DVD. But
yeah,
I
like I said, I have the digital version on Vudu, which is a very nice version. It's a crisp, clean, clear version. It's not a shitty scan or anything. So
right, and you know what? I'm just kind of curious if they did it ever, and I think they actually did. Nope, they did not do it. It looks like it's only on DVD. It looks like they never did a Blu-ray release. We need to start fighting for a Blu-ray release of Kung Pao.
I mean, they have done Blu-ray releases of movies that are so damn obscure. Why not Kung Pao?
And I think Shout Factory would be one of the best places to do it. You know what? Shout Factory might not do it justice. Why don't we have a Criterion one of Kung Pao?
Yeah, Criterion would get a lot of. They would get a lot of stuff, but then you also got maybe like Synapse Films or Vinegar Syndrome that might pick it up and be like, "Hey, we can do some crazy shit on there too."
Well, I mean, there's probably only so much stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, I would say like one of the others, like somebody would probably be like, "Hey, we've got the original full film that we got rights to put on here as well, so you can watch that without all the other stuff and see
Nobody wants to
what
do
the."
that.
Nobody does, but there's like one person out there who's like, "I totally would watch the source material." It's like,
Well, I
but
think
why? It doesn't have French aliens, and
no, it does not have French aliens.
it doesn't have a baby continuously rolling down a hill in the beginning,
No, it doesn't.
peeing on Master Payne before he's thrown down a hill.
No, you're right. You're right.
And
But
it does not have a Kung Fu cow.
if you did want to watch that, I mean, all you really have to do is watch Tiger and Crane Fists. And that's basically like 90% of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Really. I mean, don't get me wrong though, because I think Master Payne was well known. The young Master Payne was added in.
Yeah.
And that's Leo Lee.
The young
Um,
Master Payne, the single boobed woman.
they really had to find her. It took a long time.
Yeah.
They took a really, really long time for them to find that woman with only one boob in the
Yeah.
middle like that.
I think she was recommended by the three boobed woman from Total Recall.
I'm pretty sure they're sisters.
I mean, the resemblance is uncanny. I mean, one was born with two less assets than the other.
Right. I will say, going back and looking at some of these like names and stuff, it's hilarious. Oh, by the way, that person that we're talking about there is Jennifer Tung, and
That's right.
she plays Whoa.
Which is a
Oh,
fitting name because the first time I saw that, I went, "Whoa!" It's like, what? Why?
it's funny because she actually has like a legit fucking career, like Armageddon, Star Trek, What Lies Beneath, and then there's Kung Pao.
And what I like is when you see those like outtakes at
oh,
the end where they're showing how it was done, the different actors like being
oh
cut
yeah.
in, him being superimposed.
Oh my
When they
god.
show her and they're reading their alternate lines that aren't in the film, and she's just busting up laughing, they're all having a good time. I'm like, this is why I love this film, because everyone on there was having fun. Everyone on that set was enjoying themselves.
Oh my god. I, there's so many things to laugh about with that movie, dude. Like we're I just like with it, he'll just throw us off. They all just lay down on him. He can't get up. Oh, we're gonna have to quit talking about it so much because I mean we're gonna have to actually talk about it on the episode. But Jeff, let's go ahead and get out of here, man. I
All right,
appreciate you
man.
coming on as
Of
always.
course,
Guys,
anytime.
check out the Skewered Universe podcast. You can find them over on Facebook. I mean, basically fucking anywhere. Really, if you're on most of the catchers, I know I got to watch you on
Yeah,
Stitcher myself. I don't have all the catchers, but
Stitcher, Spotify, Apple,
all right.
Google.
Remember, check out Jeff's Patreon and his OnlyFans.
Go to Patreon, search Skewered Universe Podcast. We've got some transmissions episodes up there. I actually have a new one that I'm going to be dropping. The last one, last week, I said the wrong one. It was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I put up.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, that was the series for Obi-Wan Kenobi was the one. So fitting. I'm here correcting myself, and this was an episode of Tales from the Crypt with Ewan McGregor. So how fitting that was
Right.
the
Right.
correction.
Right. No, I do agree. And for those who are fans of this episode, by the way, I showed Jeff this earlier, but I do have something you might recognize from this episode.
If you think back, the opening segment, there it is, right there, right
So,
there.
so there's that.
That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I mean, we'll see where everything goes. I know I got a lot of stuff going on and moving around right now, but yeah. But dude, thank you so much for coming on. Do you got anything else that
Anytime,
you
man.
want to say before we go ahead and get out of here?
Just if you are listening to my show, Skewered Universe, keep an eye open because we're doing a Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective coming up. We got some good guests on there too for some of those episodes, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And hopefully you guys have fun with that. You doing the remake?
No, only the original series up to New Nightmare. The remake doesn't slot into any of that, so we're not covering it.
I mean, that's probably a safe spot to stop too. Good job. I like that. I do like that. You doing Freddy vs. Jason though?
I didn't think about including that one.
You should.
I might just have to add that in because it does make sense. It is canon.
It does fit in. Yes.
And it is canon with both series, with both franchises, which is something not a lot of crossovers can say.
No, I mean, not many at all.
I mean, as crazy as some of the leaps of logic are for both Jason and Freddy in that movie, it is canon with their respective franchises. So,
right.
I think we're going to throw that one in. I'm going to throw that one in.
Yeah, I'm sorry for throwing a wrench in your plan.
No. It's not a wrench at all. It's a good thing.
Right. Well,
I didn't think about that.
Well, hopefully you'll have enough time. At least this time you got a little bit more space in between to actually go and watch this movie. Leanne obviously is encouraged to come. Has she seen this movie?
She has. We've watched it together. She also enjoys it, so I'm going to talk to her and see.
Tell her I will be greatly disappointed if she doesn't join.
I don't think she has anything going on, so I think we'll both be here. But I'll run it by her. I for sure will be here.
Tell her I'm going to expect it. In fact, I'm going to add her to the ad like she's going to be there. And if she cancels, then I'm going to put a big X over her part of the picture.
I was just going to say if she has to back out her picture, she's going to hate me for that.
What I'll do is I'll take my face and I'll impose it over that, and it'll look like you and I are holding each other, Jeff. Just with still her body.
Okay with that.
I'm
okay with that.
I'm
okay with that.
She'll see I might just do that picture anyway.
See, I have my wedding ring. It's gonna come off because I'm gonna get divorced soon. So.
Yeah, I got a feeling it might happen to me too. My wife heard our last episode and she was like, I don't even know why I married you sometimes. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. She's like, you really just said that you were happy they ate a baby? Well, it doesn't happen that often. So no shit, it doesn't happen very often.
I mean, look, I was watching an episode of South Park earlier, and if you're a fan of South Park like I am, it was the Christopher Reeve episode where he was sucking stem cells out of dead fetuses. And
My
I was like,
favorite joke has a lot to do with Christopher Reeves.
come on,
What's the opposite of Christopher Reeves?
Christopher Walken.
It was even funny when he was alive because he still couldn't walk.
Oh my god.
You're welcome. I've been telling that joke for like 20 years and I still haven't stopped laughing about it.
I hear it and I feel bad on a level, but it's so funny.
You knew I was coming the whole time because I'm pretty sure I've told you this joke like 3 times too.
I've not only heard it from you, I've heard it throughout the years, and I've told it to people myself. So I was expecting something different until you came. I was like, okay, I know exactly what this is.
And then you still laughed.
It's like I said last week. I'm fucking 6, man.
Hey, I get it. We need to get out of here.
Oh.
Thank you all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I strongly suggest if you have not seen Kung Pao Into the Fist, do yourself a favor. Rent that movie. If you want the sound on, cool, but at least turn the subtitles on. You will not regret watching that movie with subtitles.
You definitely need to listen while you have the subtitles on because the sounds are amazing.
They are. All right. Check out Skewered Universe podcast. Buy my comic book. I mean, please buy my comic book. There's not a lot of issues left of this. I mean, if you want one, I would appreciate it. If you don't, I mean, you're probably a piece of shit anyway.
Buy it. Buy it. He has children that are hungry.
Earlier today, my daughter came to me and she said, "Daddy, will we ever eat again?" And I said, "Maybe if my listeners will buy my fucking comic book." Okay, none of that really happened. I'm not starving.
It's not true. It's not true. They're not struggling to feed their children. It's fine. It's fine. It's all a joke, people. It's all just to move the comic book.
It is. It's a gimmick, guys. I'm gonna have fucking CPS at my house. You're not feeding your kids.
Buy his comic just to support his efforts in more comicdom and podcast.
I would appreciate that.
That's what it's for.
And the other comic book is coming, so I mean, it will be cool. Jeff, have you seen the first one?
Unfortunately, I have not. I have not been in a position where I have been able to get myself a copy. So hopefully soon.
Well, that's fine. I just sent you a teaser picture without saying anything to anybody else. You're one of the very first people to get a teaser picture. Tell me just what you think of the artwork.
Wow.
So there's a live reaction too.
Yeah.
And I mean, So I mean,
I'm excited. I'm excited, and I've seen shots of what the other comic looked like. So I'm seeing this, and I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, and that's not knocking the first one. The first one, from what I saw.
The first one, it's done different, but there's different things to appreciate from both of them. But thanks everyone for paying attention, watching us, doing everything else, and doing basically everything but buying my comic book. Which, I mean, my kids are really hungry. But it's cool. So I'm going to go have a donut. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Jeff, for being on. Remember, check out Skewered Universe podcast. And follow them all over the fucking place. And with that being said, the crypt is closed.
Thanks for listening, kiddies. You're all a scream.